The voicemail from my mother played again, her voice cracking with desperation. Peyton, honey, we might lose the house. Can you call me back, please? I deleted it with a swipe, just like I deleted the previous 4 messages. Karma really is patient. She waited 12 years to deliver this moment. I'm Peyton, and the last time my parents desperately needed my help, I was 18 and sitting at our kitchen table with college acceptance letters spread out before me. That memory is seared into my brain like a brand. Absolutely not, my father had said, pushing away the student loan paperwork I'd spent hours preparing. We're not co-signing anything. You need to learn financial responsibility. Dad, it's only $20,000. I have scholarships covering most of it, I pleaded, my hands shaking. The interest rate is incredible, and I've already mapped out how I'll pay it back. Mom hovered nearby, wringing her dish towel. Honey, your father's right. What if something happens and you can't pay? We'd be on the hook. I remember staring at them, wondering if they could see my dreams crumbling. I got into Stanford. This is my future we're talking about. Then find a way to fund it yourself, Dad said firmly. That's what building character is about. 2 weeks later, I heard screaming from downstairs. Not angry screaming, excited screaming. My brother Kian was jumping around the living room, dangling car keys. You're the best parents ever, he shouted, hugging them both. I stood frozen on the stairs, watching Mom snap photos for Facebook. Dad was beaming, his arm around Kian's shoulder. Son, that Audi R8 is going to turn heads at college. We'll need you both to sign some paperwork, the dealership guy said, pulling out a thick folder. The loan is for $120,000. My mother didn't even hesitate. Of course, anything for our baby boy's first car. I must have made a sound, because Mom looked up and saw me. Her smile faltered for just a second. Oh, Peyton, come down and celebrate with your brother. I walked woodenly down the stairs, my mind spinning. You're co-signing his car loan? Well, yes, Dad said, already signing. He needs reliable transportation for college. It's an R8, I said flatly. That's not transportation. That's a status symbol. Kian rolled his eyes. Don't be jealous, sis. Maybe if you weren't so uptight about everything. Peyton, Mom cut in, her voice sharp with warning. This is your brother's special moment. Don't ruin it. I watched them sign away 6 figures for my brother's toy while my much smaller education loan gathered dust in my room. Something inside me hardened that day, like concrete setting around my heart. I'm going to Aunt Juliet's, I announced, grabbing my keys. Now? Mom frowned. But we're having a celebration dinner. I made your brother's favorites. I was already walking to the door. I'm sure you did. Peyton, Dad called after me. Don't be dramatic. This is different. Your brother has shown he's responsible. I turned back one last time. You're right, Dad. This is different. I won't forget how different it is. I drove to Aunt Juliet's house in my used Honda Civic, bought with money I'd saved from 3 years of summer jobs. She opened the door, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. They did something stupid, didn't they? She asked, making tea. I told her everything. She listened, her face darkening with each detail. Those idiotic, short-sighted, she muttered. Peyton, listen to me. This isn't about you being less worthy. This is about them being blind. They're not blind, I said, my voice hollow. They see exactly what they want to see, and what they see is Kian. Juliet gripped my hands. Then show them what they're missing. Make them regret every double standard, every dismissal, every time they chose him over you. Success is the best revenge. I nodded slowly, something cold and determined settling in my chest. I'm never asking them for anything again. Ever. Good, she said firmly, because you won't need to. Now, 12 years later, I stare at my phone as another voicemail notification pops up. Mom again, probably. The universe has a twisted sense of humor. They're about to lose their house because they co-signed Kian's car loan, and now they want my help. I pick up my phone and dial, not my parents' number, but my lawyer's. Christian, remember that conversation we had about real estate opportunities? I think I found one. How do you feel about handling a foreclosure purchase? The fluorescent lights of the campus library buzzed overhead as I jolted awake, my face stuck to my economics textbook. 3 jobs plus a full course load meant sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford. Girl, you look rough, Maria, my co-worker from the campus coffee shop, whispered as she set down an espresso. Double shot, on the house. You're an angel, I mumbled, peeling a sticky note from my cheek. My phone buzzed, another Instagram notification from Kian. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. There he was, posed against his R8 at some beach party. Caption, living my best life. Blessed Samsar, thankful for parents. That's your brother? Maria peered over my shoulder. Damn, must be nice. Must be, I echoed, closing the app and pulling up my scholarship applications. I had 17 pending and 32 rejection letters. Each no felt like another brick in the wall between me and graduation. My phone rang. Aunt Juliet. How's the hustle? She asked without preamble. I'm alive. Barely. I rubbed my eyes. Got promoted at the diner. Extra 50 cents an hour. That's something. Listen, I met someone you need to know. Her name's Isabel, and she's starting a tech consulting firm. She needs a part-time assistant who understands business analytics. I straightened up. I'm listening. It pays better than the diner, and it's actual experience. I told her about your situation. She wants to meet you. 2 days later, I sat across from Isabel in a sleek downtown office. She was younger than I expected, maybe mid-30s, with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. Your aunt says you're working 3 jobs while maintaining a 4.0 GPA, she said, reviewing my resume. That's impressive. Also insane. Insanity pays the bills, I replied. Most of them, anyway. She smiled. I like you. Here's the deal. I need someone hungry. Someone who understands that success isn't given. It's taken. That sound familiar? I thought about Kian's Instagram, about my parents' signatures on his loan. Very familiar. 20 hours a week, flexible around your classes, better pay than your other jobs combined. Plus, I'll teach you everything I know about building a business from scratch. When can I start? Isabel became more than a boss. She became my mentor. While Kian posted photos of spring break trips and car shows, I learned about market analysis, client acquisition, and the art of strategic planning. One night, working late, Isabel found me crying over my laptop. What happened? She asked, pulling up a chair. I showed her the email from my parents. They'd sent Kian money for car repairs. Apparently the R8 needed specialized maintenance. The same week I'd had to choose between textbooks and groceries. Your parents, Isabel said slowly, are investing in the wrong child. They don't see it that way. They never will. She closed my laptop. Then make them see. Not now. You're not ready yet. But someday they'll need something from you. That's when you'll show them exactly what they overlooked. How can you be so sure? Because entitled people always crash eventually. And when they do, they look for safety nets. She smiled grimly. Be too high for them to reach when that happens. Months turned into years. I graduated summa cum laude, juggling honors classes with my work for Isabel. Kian dropped out after 2 years. Car racing wasn't an acceptable major, apparently. My parents never asked how I managed it. They were too busy dealing with Kian's temporary setbacks. I was at my desk at Isabel's firm, now partly mine after she'd made me partner, when Aunt Juliet called. Check your email, she said without greeting. Just got this from your mother. I opened the forwarded message. It was a group email to extended family, trying to be casual but screaming desperation between the lines. They were considering downsizing and exploring options for their house. What happened? I asked, although I already knew. Kian defaulted on the car loan. Turns out there was a clause in their mortgage about additional debt obligations. They're in pre-foreclosure, but they're too proud to admit it publicly. I leaned back in my chair, thinking about all those nights in the library, all those double shifts, all those scholarship rejections. That's terrible, I said, my voice neutral. Someone should really help them. Juliet was quiet for a moment. Peyton, what are you thinking? I opened my investment portfolio and started calculating. I'm thinking it's time to diversify into real estate. You're not serious. Oh, but I am. I smiled, remembering Isabel's words about safety nets. They taught me to be self-reliant after all. I'm just following their example. You want to do what? Christian leaned forward across his desk, eyebrows raised. My lawyer wasn't easily surprised, but this had done it. I want to buy my parents' house without them knowing it's me. I laid out the pre-foreclosure documents Juliet had forwarded. Through a shell company. He studied the papers, then looked up at me. This is about more than real estate, isn't it? Does that matter? Legally? No. Emotionally? That's your call. He pulled out a notepad. Tell me about the numbers. I outlined what I'd found. The outstanding car loan was substantial, but the real problem was how it triggered clauses in their mortgage. My parents had refinanced multiple times over the years, probably to help Kian with his temporary financial needs. They're underwater, Christian confirmed, reviewing the figures. Banks moving fast, too. Someone there must be annoyed. Can we move faster? He nodded slowly. I know a real estate agent, Kelvin. He specializes in discrete transactions. We can set up an LLC, something generic like Blake & Co. Holdings, and have him act as our proxy. My phone buzzed. Another Instagram notification. I checked it reflexively, then froze. What? Christian asked. I showed him Kian's latest post. His precious R8, hood crumpled, being loaded onto a tow truck. Caption, bad times don't last. Coming back stronger. Aura blessed family. Looks like the repo men finally caught up with him, Christian mused. That'll accelerate things with the house. Good. I put my phone away. How quickly can we move? Give me 48 hours to set up the LLC. Then Kelvin can start negotiations with the bank. He paused. You know, once this is done, you'll be their landlord. Poetic, isn't it? Back at my office, Isabel was waiting. How'd it go with Christian? It's happening. I sank into my chair. Am I crazy for doing this? She perched on my desk. Remember when you first started working for me? You were so hungry to learn, to succeed. Meanwhile, your brother was joyriding in a car that cost more than your entire education. Hard to forget. Your parents created this situation. They chose favorites, played games with money, and now karma's calling. She squeezed my shoulder. You're just the collection agent. My phone rang. Mom again. This time, I answered. Peyton, finally. I've been trying to reach you. I've been busy, Mom. Running a company takes time. Of course, honey, listen. She hesitated. We're having some financial difficulties. Nothing serious, but your father and I might need to make some changes. With the house. I kept my voice neutral. What kind of changes? Well, we might need to sell. Unless, you're doing so well now. Are you asking me for money, Mom? Silence. Then, we wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. Like my education was important? Peyton, that's not fair. We were teaching you responsibility. And now I'm very responsible. Is that all? She sighed. You're still angry about college, aren't you? No, Mom. I'm not angry. I'm successful. Isn't that what you wanted? After hanging up, I called Kelvin. He answered on the first ring. The bank's receptive, he said. They want to avoid a messy foreclosure. I can have preliminary paperwork drawn up by tomorrow. Perfect. Remember, complete confidentiality, I know. The LLC's name will be the only thing they see. That night, Aunt Juliet came over with wine. We sat on my balcony, overlooking the city. Your mother called me, she said, crying about how ungrateful you are. I snorted. Of course she did. She said you're punishing them for old decisions. No, I swirled my wine. I'm just letting those decisions play out. Juliet's phone chimed. She checked it and burst out laughing. What? She showed me Kian's newest post. Sometimes you need family more than pride. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for always having my back. Quark, blessed Arikbarn family at new beginnings. He has no idea, does he? I mused, that his blessed family is about to lose their house because of his car loan. None of them do. Juliet raised her glass. To karma. To karma, I echoed, and to teaching responsibility. My phone lit up with an email from Christian. LLC established. Kelvin making initial offer tomorrow. You're officially in the landlord business. I smiled, remembering all those nights I'd laid awake wondering if I'd make rent, while Kian slept soundly under our parents' roof. Don't worry, little brother, I murmured. You'll still have a roof over your head. It'll just be mine. I pulled into my parents' driveway on a Sunday afternoon, noting how the once pristine lawn had grown patchy and unkempt. The garage door was closed, no sign of Kian's precious R8. Funny how things change. Mom opened the door before I could knock. Peyton, what a surprise! Her smile was too bright, too forced. We were just talking about you. The house smelled like her stress baking, cinnamon and desperation. Dad sat in his recliner, pretending to read the newspaper. He looked older, grayer. Just thought I'd check in, I said, settling onto the couch. See how everyone's doing. Oh, Mom's voice wavered. We're managing. Would you like some coffee? Sure. I watched her scurry to the kitchen, hands shaking slightly as she poured. Where's Kian? Dad's newspaper crinkled. He's between opportunities right now. That's one way to put it, a voice came from the stairs. Kian appeared, unshaven and wearing sweatpants. Hey, sis. Looking fancy as usual. I smoothed my designer blazer, bought with my own money, earned through my own work. Looking comfortable as usual, brother. Mom returned with coffee, hovering anxiously between us. Isn't this nice? All of us together? Super nice, Kian muttered. Almost like a family meeting. Speaking of which, he glanced at our parents. Dad finally lowered his newspaper. Peyton, honey, since you're here, there's something we should discuss. We're having some temporary difficulties, Mom jumped in. Just a small setback. Small? Kian laughed harshly. The bank's breathing down our necks, Mom. Stop sugarcoating it. I sipped my coffee. What happened? The economy, Dad said quickly. Market fluctuations. You know how it is. And the car, Kian added. That damn car. Mom shot him a warning look. It's just a perfect storm of circumstances, but we'll figure something out. God willing, someone in the family will help save this house. I met her gaze steadily. Someone in the family? Well, she twisted her hands. You've done so well for yourself, honey. And family helps family. Like when I needed help for college? Dad's face darkened. That was different. We were teaching you. Responsibility, I finished. I remember. How's that working out? Kian stood up. Look, I know I messed up, okay? The car, the loan. I get it. I've been humbled. But Mom and Dad don't deserve to lose their house because of me. No? I set down my cup. They just deserve to co-sign a 6-figure loan for your toy while telling me to figure out my education alone? You were always the strong one, he exploded. The smart one. You didn't need help. I didn't need help? I stood too, years of suppressed rage bubbling up. I worked 3 jobs. I lived on ramen. I cried myself to sleep wondering if I'd have to drop out while you posted pictures of beach parties with your luxury car. Peyton, please. Mom stepped between us. What's done is done. We're just asking if you can help now. Help how exactly? What do you need? They exchanged glances. Dad cleared his throat. The bank. They're saying we have 6 weeks, unless we can come up with the money. How much? More glances. Finally, Dad named a figure that made Mom wince. I pulled out my phone, made a show of checking my accounts. That's a lot. We know it's asking much, Mom said quickly, but we could set up a payment plan. Once Kian finds a new job. I've got prospects, Kian interrupted. Solid ones. Like the last 5 solid prospects? I asked sweetly. Dad stood up. If you're just here to judge us. No, I smiled. I'm here to help. I'll write you a check right now. Their faces lit up until I named the amount. That's not nearly enough, Mom said carefully. It's for a good lawyer, I replied, writing the check. You'll need one. Peyton, Dad's voice rose. This isn't a joke. No, it's not. It's a lesson in responsibility. I gathered my things. Call it karma, if you like. So that's it? Kian called after me. You're just going to let them lose everything? I paused at the door, thinking about the LLC paperwork sitting on Christian's desk, about the wheels already in motion. Don't worry, I said softly. Everything's going exactly where it needs to go. Mom started crying as I left. Dad just stared out the window. Kian kicked a wall. In my car, I called Christian. How's our timeline looking? Bank's processing the offer. Should be finalized next week. Perfect. I looked back at the house. My future house. They have no idea what's coming. That's the point, isn't it? I started the engine. That's exactly the point. The bank's formal notice arrived on my desk via courier. Crisp, official, and deliciously final. Through my LLC, I now own their mortgage. In 6 weeks, I'd own their house. My office phone lit up. Mom's number. Peyton? Her voice was raw. Have you checked your mail today? I'm at work, Mom. Why? We got a letter. From the bank. She sniffled. They're moving forward with foreclosure. 6 weeks. I examined my manicure, the one I'd paid for myself, like everything else in my life. That sounds serious. It's more than serious. We'll be homeless. Her composure cracked. Please, honey. We know you're doing well now. We wouldn't ask unless we had to. Like I wouldn't have asked for help unless I had to. Silence. Then, how long are you going to punish us for that? I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just letting you experience the value of self-reliance. We're your parents. Exactly. And parents are supposed to help their children. Funny how that only worked one way in our family. She started crying harder. I ended the call and buzzed my assistant. Hold all calls from my family, please. An hour later, Isabel walked in. Your brother's in the lobby. What? Security called up. He's demanding to see you. I sighed. Send him up. Kian burst in looking worse than before. Unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, wearing the same sweatpants. You have to help them, he said without preamble. I don't have to do anything. They're going to lose everything. He paced my office. Their home, their dignity. Like I almost lost my education. That was different. I was young, stupid. And I wasn't. I stood up. I was 18, Kian. I had dreams. But my dreams didn't matter because they weren't wrapped in a shiny Audi bow. He slumped into a chair. I know I messed up. The car, the loan. I should have been more responsible. Yes, you should have. But they shouldn't have enabled you. So this is revenge? Making them suffer because they spoiled me? No. I walked to my window, overlooking the city I'd conquered without their help. This is consequences. They made their choices. Now they get to live with them. They're broke, Peyton. They'll have nowhere to go. I turned back. There's always somewhere to go. I managed, didn't I? He stood up, desperate now. What do you want? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. We all are. I don't want anything from you. Not anymore. Security escorted him out. I called Christian. Your brother just left my office, he said before I could speak. Tried to convince me to talk sense into you. And I told him I only talk business sense. Speaking of which, Kelvin's finalizing the paperwork. Once the 6 weeks are up, the house is yours. I smiled. Any way to speed that up? Could push for immediate possession if they're in breach of other terms. Want me to look? No, let them sweat it out. That evening, Aunt Juliet brought takeout to my apartment. Your mother called me crying, again. Of course she did. I poured wine. Let me guess. I'm being cruel and unreasonable? Actually, she said something interesting. Juliet took a sip. She said she never realized how much it must have hurt you, watching them help Kian while denying you. Bit late for that revelation. Maybe. Or maybe that's exactly when revelations should hurt most. My phone buzzed, an email from Kelvin. The bank had approved our accelerated timeline. 4 weeks, not 6. They're going to hate me, I said quietly. No. Juliet took my hand. They're going to respect you. Finally. By taking their house? By showing them exactly who they underestimated. She squeezed my fingers. You're not taking their house, Peyton. You're taking back your power. Later that night, alone, I reviewed the rental agreement Christian had drafted. Fair market rate, strict terms, no special treatment. Business, not family. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. Please call us. Please. We need to talk about options. I typed back, I already gave you my option. Get a good lawyer. Another text. We're your family. I stared at those words, remembering all the times they'd used that excuse. Family helps family, unless it was me needing help. Yes, I wrote back, you are family, and I learned everything I know about family priorities from you. I turned off my phone and poured more wine, toasting my reflection in the window. In 4 weeks, they'd learn exactly what kind of businesswoman their daughter had become, thanks to their lessons in self-reliance. Blake & Co. Holdings? Dad's voice cracked over the phone. Who are they? Why are they buying our mortgage? I leaned back in my office chair, savoring the moment. Maybe you should ask your lawyer. We can't afford a lawyer. That's the whole point. He paused, struggling to control his voice. Peyton, please, if you won't help us, at least help us understand what's happening. What's happening is business, Dad. Just like college was business, remember? The line went dead. I checked my email. Another update from Kelvin. The paperwork was ready for final signatures. My office door opened. Isabel walked in, followed by Kian. He looked different, wearing a suit, clean-shaven, like he was trying to impersonate a responsible adult. Your brother insisted, Isabel said apologetically. Said it was important. I waved her off. It's fine. This should be interesting. Kian sat down, his posture stiff. I got a job. Real one. Good salary. I can help with the payments. Congratulations. Wrong office, though. You'll want to talk to Blake & Co. Holdings. Cut the crap, Peyton. He leaned forward. I know it's you. I kept my face neutral. What's me? The company buying the house? It has to be. The timing, the way you've been acting. I'm not completely stupid. Could have fooled me with that car purchase. He flinched. I deserve that. I deserve all of it. But Mom and Dad don't. Really? I stood up, walking to my window. Let's talk about what people deserve, Kian. Let's talk about an 18-year-old girl who just wanted an education. I know it. No, you don't know. I spun around. You don't know what it's like to work 3 jobs while studying, to skip meals to buy textbooks, to watch your brother post pictures of beach parties while you're serving coffee to your classmates. You're right. He stood too. I was spoiled, entitled, everything you say. But I've been humbled. The car's gone. My credit's ruined. I'm starting over. How nice for you. I never got to start in the first place. They thought you were stronger than me. His voice broke. They always said, why can't you be more like Peyton? She's so responsible, so capable. I laughed bitterly. They made me capable by giving me no choice. And now you're giving them no choice. Wrong. I walked back to my desk. I'm giving them exactly what they gave me. The opportunity to stand on their own. By taking their house. By buying their house. Legally. Through proper channels. Very responsible of me, don't you think? He slumped back into the chair. What are you going to do? Evict them? No. I pulled out the rental agreement. I'm going to be their landlord. He stared at the papers. You're going to make our parents pay rent to their own daughter? Poetic, isn't it? It's cruel. Crueler than watching your parents sign away 6 figures for your toy while refusing a fraction of that for your sister's education. Silence filled the office. Finally, Kian spoke quietly. I never thanked you. For what? For not telling them about the times I asked you for money. After the car got repossessed. When I was really desperate. I didn't do it for you. I know. You did it because you're better than us. Better than me. He stood up. You won, Peyton. You proved everyone wrong. Isn't that enough? This isn't about winning. Then what is it about? I thought about all the nights I'd laid awake, wondering if I'd make it through another semester. About Mom's Facebook post praising Kian's adventures while ignoring my achievements. About Dad's proud smile as he signed that car loan. It's about balance, I said finally. Everything evens out eventually. My phone buzzed. A text from Christian. Final paperwork ready. We can close tomorrow. Tell them whatever you want, I told Kian, or tell them nothing. Either way, in 24 hours, I'll own the house. He walked to the door, then turned back. You know what's ironic? They always said you'd do great things. They just never thought those things would happen to them. After he left, I called Christian. Is everything ready? Just need your signature. Sure you want to do this? I thought about Mom's tears, Dad's anger, Kian's plea, about karma and consequences and long-awaited justice. Yes, I said firmly. It's time they learned what real responsibility feels like. The bank's letter arrived at my parents' house on a Tuesday morning. I knew because I'd arranged the timing myself. At 2 p.m., I pulled into their driveway, rental agreement in my briefcase, just as Mom rushed out the front door. Did you see this? She waved the letter frantically. Some company called Blake & Co. Holdings bought our mortgage. They're taking the house. Let me see. I took the letter, pretending to read it carefully. Dad appeared in the doorway, his face ashen. We tried calling the bank, he said. They won't tell us anything except that the sale is final. Maybe we should go inside, I suggested. Talk about this properly. They followed me into the living room, the room where they'd once celebrated Kian's car loan. Fitting. There has to be something we can do, Mom said, pacing. Maybe we can appeal to this company, explain our situation. I'm sure Blake & Co. Holdings would be interested in hearing your explanation, I said, opening my briefcase. In fact, I have their final decision right here. Dad frowned. What do you mean? I pulled out the paperwork, letting them see the company letterhead. Their eyes moved from the papers to my face, comprehension dawning slowly. No, Mom whispered. It can't be. Blake & Co. Holdings, I said clearly, is my company. Dad sank into his recliner. You bought our mortgage? I bought the house. I laid out the rental agreement. And now I'm offering you a chance to stay. As tenants. Mom started crying. Our own daughter. How could you? How could I? I stood up, years of suppressed anger finally breaking free. How could you sign away a fortune for Kian's car while telling me to figure out college alone? How could you watch me work myself to exhaustion while he partied? How could you post about his achievements while ignoring mine? We were trying to teach you responsibility, Dad shouted. No, you were playing favorites. And now, I gestured around the room, Now you get to see exactly what responsibility looks like. By making us pay rent to our own child, Mom's voice was bitter, by making you live with your choices. I pointed to the agreement. Market rate, standard terms, very responsible, don't you think? Dad picked up the papers with shaking hands. And if we refuse, then you have 30 days to vacate. I hear there are some nice apartments across town, within your budget probably. This is revenge, Mom said quietly. No, Mom, this is karma. Remember when you told me I needed to stand on my own? Well, I did. And now I own the roof over your head. The front door opened. Kian walked in, stopping short when he saw us. It's done? He asked. I nodded. Your parents were just reviewing their rental agreement. He looked at the papers, then at our parents. Sign it. Kian, Mom gasped. Sign it, he repeated. We deserve this. All of it. Dad threw down the papers. How can you say that? We gave you everything. Exactly, Kian shouted. You gave me everything and her nothing. And look what happened. She succeeded despite you while I failed because of you. Silence fell. Mom sank onto the couch, tears streaming down her face. Dad stared at the floor. I picked up the rental agreement. You have 24 hours to decide. Sign and stay, or don't and leave. Very simple, very responsible. Peyton, Mom reached for my hand. I pulled away. 24 hours, I repeated. I'll have my lawyer collect your decision tomorrow. Walking to my car, I heard footsteps behind me. Kian. That was intense, he said. That was necessary. He nodded. For what it's worth. I'm sorry. For everything. I know. I opened my car door. But this isn't about you anymore. It's about them finally understanding what they did. And after they sign? I looked back at the house. My house now. Then they'll learn what it feels like to depend on someone else's mercy. Just like I did. Will you show them any? That depends on them. I started the engine. But first, they need to learn their lesson. As I drove away, I saw Mom watching from the window, Dad holding her shoulders. They looked small, defeated, just like I'd felt all those years ago. My phone buzzed, a text from Aunt Juliet. Is it done? Yes, I replied. The house is mine. And your parents? I smiled, thinking about the rental agreement sitting on their coffee table. They're about to learn what real character building feels like. Christian handed me the signed rental agreement, his expression amused. They didn't even try to negotiate terms. Of course not. I traced my parents' signatures. They finally understand they're not in control anymore. My phone buzzed. Aunt Juliet. They're moving Kian's things into the garage apartment, she reported. Your mother's been crying all morning. Good, let them feel it. That evening, I drove to the house, my house, for the first official rent collection. Mom answered the door, her eyes red but her spine straight. Come in, she said quietly. Your father's getting the check. The living room felt different. Family photos had been taken down, leaving pale rectangles on the walls. The space felt hollow, like their pride. Dad emerged from his study, envelope in hand. Here. He tried to sound businesslike, but his voice cracked. First month's rent. As agreed. I took the envelope without opening it. Thank you, very responsible. Is this how it's going to be now? Mom asked. Cold business transactions between mother and daughter? No. I settled onto the couch. This is where you both sit down and finally hear what I have to say. They exchanged glances, then sat. For 18 years, I began, I watched you pour everything into Kian while treating me like an afterthought. When I needed you most, you chose to teach me a lesson instead of helping me. But here's what you really taught me. I pulled out my phone, showing them my company's latest valuation. Their eyes widened. You taught me that I couldn't count on anyone but myself. That family support was conditional on being the favorite child. That my dreams mattered less than Kian's toys. We never meant, Mom started. Let her finish, Dad said softly. So I built this, I continued. Every dollar, every deal, every success, I did it alone. And now, I gestured around the room. Now you get to experience exactly what that feels like. By becoming our landlord? Mom's voice was bitter. By showing you what real parental support looks like. I pulled out another document. This is a trust agreement. Every rent payment you make goes into an education fund for Kian's future kids. Or yours, if you ever have more. They stared at me. You see, I stood up. I'm not just teaching you about consequences. I'm teaching you about legacy, about investing in the next generation properly. Why? Dad asked. Why not just take the house and be done with it? Because someone in this family needs to break the cycle. Someone needs to show what real responsibility looks like. Footsteps on the stairs. Kian appeared, carrying moving boxes. Did you tell them? He asked. Tell us what? Mom looked between us. The trust isn't just for future education, Kian said. It's also funding my night classes. I'm going back to school. For real this time. Dad's hands trembled. Peyton, we were wrong about everything. I know. I walked to the window, looking out at the driveway where Kian's R8 used to gleam. But admitting it isn't enough. You need to feel it. Every month when you write that rent check, you'll remember how it felt to deny your daughter help while indulging your son. And then, Mom asked quietly, and then maybe you'll finally understand what real parental love looks like. Not enabling, not favoritism, just pure, unconditional support. I turned back to them. I'm not evicting you. I'm not even charging you above market rate. I'm just making you face your choices every single month. Kian set down his boxes. She's being kinder than we deserve. No, I corrected. I'm being exactly as kind as a parent should be. Firm but fair. Supporting growth, not enabling destruction. Mom started crying again, but differently this time. Dad just nodded, understanding finally settling into his features. The rent's due on the 1st, I said, walking to the door. The trust documents need your signatures by Friday. Very simple, very responsible. Peyton, Dad called after me. We're proud of you. We should have said that years ago. I paused at the door. Prove it. Not with words, with actions. Every month, with every check. Prove that you've learned what real family support means. Driving home, I called Aunt Juliet. How did it go? They signed. They cried. They apologized. And how do you feel? I thought about the trust agreement, about Kian's night classes, about the look of revelation in my parents' eyes. I smiled, watching the city lights blur past. I feel like I finally taught them something valuable about responsibility. Funny how that works out, she said. Yes, I agreed, thinking of all those years of struggle that led to this moment. Funny how they taught me self-reliance, and I just returned the favor, with interest.